Greetings and welcome to Stunthangar Video Hangouts. My name is Charles Carter and I'll be your host this evening. I want to extend to you my gratitude for you watching Stunthangar Video Hangouts. If you are watching this as a replay, I want you to know that I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please make a note of this so you can watch or be part of the live stream. Plus, we have an after party following the live stream, which is sometimes better than the live stream portion. You must be a registered Stunthangar Forum member to find the link to be part of the live stream and the following after party. Here at Stunthangar Video Hangouts, we talk about building and flying model airplanes, sport flying, competition flying, and what you've been doing lately. To join our conversation, if you are already a member of Stunthangar Forum, you can find the link if you scroll down to the section called At the Bench. Now, if you're not a member, or if you're not logged into Stunthangar Forum, the At the Bench link will not appear. If you're not a member, please register at stunthangar.com/SMF. That's stunthangar.com/SMF. SMF is Smart Men Flying. That's courtesy of Jeff Riley. You must place a space between your real first and last name when you register. You must also use a valid email address or Sparky. The proprietor of Stunthangar will not approve you. If you're inclined to not come in, just enjoy watching us on YouTube. Wonderful, fantastic. Please enter your questions or comments in our chat box, and I'll do my best to make your comments or questions a part of the show. And I understand sometimes even I can't get a word in myself, so be patient. And I will ask our illustrious panel your question or state your comment. And by the way, you only can do this during a live stream. So like I said, I host these YouTube live streams every Monday and Friday evening starting at 6:45 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you find the Stunthangar Video Hangouts that I host, or the many building videos, Saturday at John's, the contest coverage that Sparky does on this platform, informative and enjoyable, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and share the videos. And when you subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell so that whether myself or Sparky's on, you'll be notified. Comments also help the Stunthangar YouTube channel grow. Please consider joining Stunthangar's YouTube channel memberships, which start at just $4.99 a month, which is less than 17 cents a day. Right below that blue button, just hit the join button. And by the way, I'm also a member. I have the $4.99 come out of my checking account each and every month, and I don't miss it. And I suspect that you won't miss it either. Besides, you'll be supporting hopefully something you really enjoy and glean a lot of information out of. You also can show your support using the super chat, which is below the chat box. It's the big $sign, and you can donate any amount you like and as often as you like. There's no subscription there. Now, your support helps offset some of the expenses of running Stunthangar, and with your support and with your memberships, you'll get special badges I can see, special stickers I can see in the chat box, and you get unlimited replay of member-only videos. And once a month, Sparky has a question and answer show for members only. Now, this is not my YouTube channel. This is Sparky's. I'm only here twice a week. So if you want to get in touch with me, go to my YouTube channel, which is called Flying Control Line Stunt. That's Flying Control Line Stunt. And place your comment or question on the 2019 AMA National Championship video, which Sparky shot with his camera of me flying his Junar XL. And I'll receive a notification and be able to respond to you quickly. Any comments that you send on this channel, this YouTube channel, I most likely will not get it. I'm only in here twice a week. And so if you want to get in touch with me, that's the better way to do it, to go through my channel. I want to thank you for your past, your present, and future support. You are making it happen. Please keep the conversations family room friendly. In other words, please don't use words or do things you wouldn't say or do around your own children or grandchildren. And without any further ado, I'm going to post a link now at stunthangar.com, and I'm getting ready to do that. I have three monitors that I do this with, and I just hit the post button. So it should be all right. I just saw a message on my computer. I have an error. I hope everything's all right. Anyways, I'll just ignore that. So I'm going to go to Sparky's YouTube channel now, and looks like it is streaming. So I'm going to go to what I call the control panel, and see what's going on there. Hopefully it's all right. I don't know what this error I'm getting on my computer is. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with our show tonight. So I'll be there just a second. Here I come. One more click or two. I hope everybody had a good weekend. Or actually, we're going into another weekend. Hope everybody had a good week and heading into a weekend again. And hopefully everybody had a good week. Okay, looks like we are streaming. We have 10 likes and 10 concurrent viewers. Fantastic, 100%. Man, that's awesome. And Tom Ramel says like provided. Thank you, Tom. And Gary Sinclair says, Gary, he liked. Thank you, Gary. He's a member. I can tell by the he has a special sticker next to his name. And Dennis Adamson says, hi, Charles. Hello, chat room. Like provided. We'll join you ASAP. Thank you, Dennis. And then Jeff Riley says, like clicked. Thank you very much. And let me do another thing here. Let me send this. Looks like someone's getting ready to come in here. Looks like Gary Sinclair is on his way. And let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of some of my extra tabs so I can save some resources, hopefully, in my computer. And then looks like John is coming. I'm not sure if this is John Miller. Hey, Gary, how are you?
Good. Yep.
So let me just do another edit here. Hey, John Miller, how are you doing? It's like, hey, John, can you hear me? You can't hear me, huh? Can you hear me, Gary?
Oh, yeah, I hear you. Playing, yeah.
Yeah, why don't you go down to the bottom left corner there where your microphone is at least you might
can't hear you guys.
Okay. What you want to do is go down to the how am I going to tell them this? Just one minute. Let me finish this real quick. Hey, I just realized, Gary, he's not going to hear my instructions, right?
So, yes.
No sense telling them.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so it's like it'd be better if I could speak to him in sign language.
Because he had it muted, but then he unmuted it.
Oh, he did. I didn't notice that. Let me see here.
But it's unmuted now.
Yeah, but that's his microphone, but he can't hear us. So, let me see. I'll just chat with him real quick on the chat. Let's see here. Where is the chat? There you go. There it is. Just bear with me. This is to you, John. Okay.
I don't know why it couldn't hear us.
Just a second.
But he did put his hand up to his ear like he's trying to hear. So.
Yeah. So hopefully he just saw my chat message I sent him. And it looks like Trostle's coming in. Yeah, I guess I can hear him. Let's see. Hey, Keith, how are you doing, Keith?
I'm doing good, Charles.
Hi, Keith.
Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Let's see here. John Miller, he can't hear us, so I'm trying to assist him. And so hopefully he gets that straightened out.
Well, that's one way for him to keep out of trouble.
True. Yeah. Yeah, true. So what you been up to, Keith?
Not much. Just cleaning up the office a little bit.
Oh, I understand that. My office is a mess. And how about yourself, Gary? What you been up to, Gary?
Oh, just fooling around.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
actually I took my plane out today, the one I flew at the Wooden Arrows, and before I left home, I noticed that my elevator and my flap wasn't that neutral at the same time. So I adjusted the push rod between the flap and elevator, got it closer to what I think is neutral, and went flying today. Also, I replaced the tail wheel, put a longer tail wheel, but when I packed up, I saw that it had bent down, had flattened it. So that tail wheel is just too soft. I need to get a different alloy. It seemed like a really soft metal I actually pulled out of my stash of stuff. So, but other than that, the plane seemed to fly a little better. I actually went to that contest with, I don't know, maybe a half dozen patterns underneath my belt with that plane. So as time progressed, I hope to be in better trim and be ready for the Las Vegas event. Hey, Stuart, how you doing?
Good.
Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Looks like Dennis Adamison's making
Dennis.
his way in here. I think John is checking his connections. Hey, Dennis, how you
Hi,
doing?
Dan.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
Good evening. And Dennis Adamison showed me some pictures of his flight, of his field. I could not believe how the grass is cut 3/4 of an inch. Just beautiful. And yeah, my grass is nothing like that.
Now, it's
Yes.
one thing, the RC club, Wes and I joined, they welcomed us with open arms too, I might add. They take fantastic care of the field, and including a weekly mowing with the reel type mowers, like they use on golf greens and stuff like that. So the field, it's like the only thing I get off a paved field is that it's hotter, so.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it's
So
actually flat. It's actually flat.
yeah, it's nice and flat. It's not, I mean, it's never going to be quite as smooth as pavement because, the nature of grass, you get like little nubs growing and stuff like that. But you can practice rotating up on the main takeoffs and things like that. And you can land fast if you want, but it's, it works very well. The flip side is that the field is so flat is sometimes when we get a heavy rain or something like that, it'll puddle, it'll pool. There's no runoff. So I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll take it too. I wish I had something like that, but I appreciate what I do have. I've been flying there at the Escondido Kit Carson Park for about 8 years. It's a public park, so I'm not paying dues to a club or anything like that. And so I really feel I have it made. Hey, Lynn Burrell, thanks for coming in.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well.
Howdy, Len.
Stuff. Dennis?
How you doing, Len?
Gary? Yeah. Dennis? Stuart? I see everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
You have a yellow tinge to your.
Yeah.
That's the light. I don't know what the deal is
Yeah.
there. Is that better?
That's better.
Yeah,
All right. I don't know
Yeah.
what caused that.
that happens from time to time. I've noticed
Yeah.
that.
Me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Must be my computer or something. I don't know.
It looks good now. It looks like a regular daylight, sunlight.
Yeah, before it, I know that it did have that yellow tinge. I don't know what that's about, but
That's okay.
oh well. It's all good.
Yeah.
Been doing any flying, Charles?
I went flying today.
Good boy. How's that going?
Good. It's the plane's in a little bit better trim, I think, than
Good stuff.
it was at the contest. I did
Okay.
lengthen the tail wheel like Dennis had recommended.
All right.
But The alloy is kind of soft because when I packing up, I saw the tail wheel had kind of flattened out. So I need to get a different alloy and
Okay.
something stiffer. But it
Oh, you
seemed
mean
like
the wire
wire.
itself? Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
We'll
yes.
take
Yeah.
advantage of that. The
Okay.
softness of the tail wheel really doesn't hurt anything. Remember, they told you the key was to get the tail wheel on the ground first. If it lands, it'll force the mains down, and if it flexes a little bit, it really doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah, I just keep bending it back to get the right attitude.
Hmm.
Looks like John left. He's probably going to come back. He was having problems hearing us. We could hear him, but he couldn't hear us. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. And like I was telling Keith earlier, when I was looking at my plane, I'd locked in the elevator into level or neutral, I should say. And I saw that the flap looked like it wasn't quite at neutral. So I adjusted that. And I went flying today. And plane I think it's flying in a little bit better than it did over the weekend. So hopefully I continue to do this so that when Las Vegas comes around, I'll be ready to tangle with
The big boys.
with Rick Green, who beat me. Rick Green, if you're listening, you won fair and square. I look forward to tangling up with you again. Hey, John, go and say something. Or can you hear us, John? I guess he can't hear us.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah, it's pretty quiet.
Well, the good thing is if he can't hear us, that means we can talk about him.
Yeah, what should we say? Is Santa Claus is coming in. It gets like he's getting ready for Christmas.
Getting closer.
Yeah. He really does have a nice beard, doesn't he?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Got to be careful when he starts his airplanes not to get a caught in that thing.
Oh, geez. That would hurt.
Oh, I don't even want to think about stuff like that, but I just thought about it now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you and I got made, Lynn.
Yeah, we're not going to have to worry about that one.
We're pretty
Yeah.
safe all over.
Yeah, our comb overs aren't going to get in the prop either.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely. Actually, it's like, yeah, most of us have a clean bald heads, except for Keith. Keith and John.
Mm.
Yeah, Keith's got a full head of hair still. He's got something going on up there.
I got
Yeah.
hair. I just like to keep it short. That's all. So
Okay. All right.
it's there, believe it or not. So
Yeah, I see it. I see it.
This part it's getting thin, but don't know how much longer it's gonna last.
Yeah, but you've had it for a long time. That's great. I can't remember. Anyways, we'll get back to model airplanes.
good idea.
Yeah, I have to do
Good
this
idea, Charles.
myself.
Save,
I don't know what's
save.
going on. Charles, what's going on, man? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you
We'll
go.
save the hair stories for the after party.
No.
Oh my gosh.
So, anybody else went flying besides me this week?
I flew
Yeah.
tonight.
All right.
When did you fly, Dennis?
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Wow. Oh, you got
Wow.
a bucket load of flights.
Yeah,
not
that's
fair.
it. You got a whole
That's not
boatload
fair.
of flying. I had some airplane issues. Sometimes I went out, only flew once or twice. I had to go home and work on it and everything, but I've got it really, really working well today.
Good show.
And best of all, I was able to get Wes out and we were able to get he was able to get a couple of complete patterns. So
Oh,
Good
good.
show.
he's at that. It takes him a while to work on his stamina to get his, so he started the week with 3-minute flights and ended the week flying full patterns. So that's
Very, very good.
he
Yeah,
flew
this
one
is
pretty
full
awesome.
pattern today, and then he said that's enough. So that I ain't gonna do anymore. And but so we'll get back on the stamina next week. He wants to get ready for the Cleveland meet, which is mid-September. So he's got
Okay.
plenty of time for doing that, but I guess it'd be my job just to drag him out there, be his drill instructor, I guess, and keep him flying.
Good
So,
for you. That's
yeah.
awesome.
oh, it's a blast.
And flying planes is great exercise too. You figure all the walking we do and having to look up and working on our our balance and even as far as cognitively, I mean, all the decisions that we have to make when we're flying. I think that it's. I hope this is what's going to be my saving grace for me going nuts.
Yeah.
When I get older,
It was kind of interesting yesterday that our club runs every Thursday morning. They have the SAM guys, the old time free flight guy, RC assist free flight guys. And they were out, they fly on Thursday mornings every week. And so they were out yesterday morning and we were flying, and as luck would have it, the way the wind was blowing and stuff, they were kind of taking off our directions. And of course, they're not flying rocket ships or anything like that. The climbs are kind of leisurely and stuff. And I was doing an overhead 8 and I look up and there's a SAM airplane right over me.
Wow.
Yeah, Wes was watching from this side. He says, it was probably 30 feet away. You had plenty of room.
Okay.
He says, well, you know what? He says, I think we're going to be grounded until they finish flying their meet here. He goes, yeah, that's probably a good idea. So he sat out the final half hour. They only fly from like 9 to 10:30 or something like that on Thursdays, and then they all go out to lunch. So it's like they figured out this airplane thing can also be their social, their weekly social club, I guess. And they have a good time. In the winter time, they go out for breakfast and don't bother flying airplanes. So
there you go. Cool.
it works for them. So
Yeah, I'm going to type something to John. So just go ahead and carry on.
You don't need to type. I can hear.
We got ya. All right.
All right.
Right. Does that mean we got to stop talking about them, guys?
Yeah, we can't talk about them
You
now.
can talk about me because I don't pay attention anyway.
Well, there's no fun in that.
Well, all right, well, good. So what was the problem? Do you realize what the problem was?
Two problems. First one was I got a really nice set of speakers here. My cats unplugged them accidentally, apparently. They play around back there and they probably brush up against the plug-in too many times and it came out. So,
well, at least they didn't chew them.
Yeah, that's it. I was just thinking National Lampoon Christmas Vacation.
yeah.
Boy, that cat went through 9 lives pretty fast, didn't he?
That was a funny movie.
Yeah, we made that an annual here. We put that's part of our Christmas thing is we get a movie night for a Christmas Vacation. So
all right, couldn't pick much better.
Yeah, that's it.
As nice as it is, it's a good life. Just wears thin after 70 years. So I'm watching it every year.
I've watched. I mean, you can almost repeat the dialogue word for word, and it's still fun to watch. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I've been working on my SV11.
All right.
Good for you.
I'm working on the mechanism to close up the center section. Got the everything together and adjusted and centered and trimmed out as close as I can without flying it. So as soon as I get the center section can close up, then I can work on the very little bit needs to be done to bolt up the what do they call it, the nacelle, and it's I want to put some color in there though. A couple things, it's just I'm dressing it up more than I guess the average ARF, just because we all like to make it ours a little bit,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, but it's getting close. Now I got to recruit somebody to launch for me.
Oh, you don't have a stooge?
No, not yet. I used to have one. I don't know where it went.
Oh.
The cats took it.
Probably. I might find parts of it buried out in the backyard.
Mhm.
Yeah, 'cause even though I had Carl with me, I flew with the stooge just so that I could relieve him of launching me every time.
Careful, careful what you say.
Yeah.
So, anyways, So that way, I didn't have to worry about John. I mean, Mike could do what he wanted to do because he actually got there earlier than John. I mean, excuse me, than Carl. Pardon me. And so I wanted him to be able to continue to get ready to fly. If I kept
All
calling
right.
him to launch my plane, it would prolong him getting set up. So
Yeah. Well, and then once I get this, so it's flying, then I'll start doing a little bit of repair work needs to be done on the twin flight streak. And then work on the resoldering, cleaning and resoldering the controls on the Pathfinder LE. So because I'd much rather fly the Pathfinder LE at Vegas if it's, if the controls are lined up correctly. And I feel like I can count on them, but I'll take the SV11 as a backup just in case, But I get pretty points with the LE.
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
How are you gonna get to the horn? Are you just gonna cut a hole in it, basically?
Yeah, I'm gonna go underneath the bottom and,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut a piece out that comes out 3-sided.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna actually clean off and harden up the edges and all of that. So when I put it back, it'll either be held in place with magnets or I'll have 2 screws in there so if I have to get into it again, I can easily do it.
that makes sense.
Well, this plane here, I've been into it, this one.
Yeah,
I've been the Sheik's design, Torino.
yeah.
I've been in it twice already. And so first 2 times I refinished it up so that you couldn't tell I'd been in there. But at this point, I'm not that concerned. And I think if I did it nice where it looks like an access panel, I might get away with it.
Yeah, considering how big a job that is and everything like that, man, it could be, if you don't cut that hole big enough and stuff like that, it's gonna be hard to do.
You're right there.
Wes did something that absolutely shocked me. When he built his first airplane with the double slotted flaps, he didn't build any adjustment into his throws or anything like that. And he had counted on the flaps doing a lot of work. He actually had them moving farther than the elevator. All right. So
Wow.
those control efforts were just insane with it. And he went into it, over the winter and, redid it because he didn't have any good access to it. He literally cut the fuselage off at the trailing edge of the wing,
I thought of that too.
completely cut it off,
Yeah.
took it apart, worked on his ratios he wanted, put it right back together, and you can't tell anything ever happened.
Wow, that's a
I
neat
thought about
idea.
doing that same thing. In fact, I actually thought about getting some 64th ply and put on face each side and make it removable, where I can take it off like that.
Well, yeah, that would be a little more extreme yet, but I guess the point is that if you did something like that, you could actually even entertain replacing the horn or something like that. So,
Right.
and that's, that's such a big problem you have to deal with. I just don't know if you can weld that without burning up everything around it and stuff
That's
like
what I'm
that.
concerned about in there. I've got a I'll try it on one and see how it works. I tried it on the Torino, but it obviously didn't get hot enough to do the job because this is the 3rd time it's gone loose on me. So of course I didn't change the solder. I should have changed that out to a different solder.
Yeah, it sounds like, it's going to be a big job no matter what you do. It would be nice if you could just absolutely make sure you never had to do it again,
I think your idea is brilliant, Dennis. Cut it off right at the trailing edge and go with it and clean it up and put it back together. I think that's fantastic.
Well, unfortunately, in this case, it's the job is easy for the man who doesn't have to do it. I mean,
Yeah,
it's gonna be a load to do it. I think you can, obviously you need a clean cut and then you can scab it and everything like that. So it goes back together, I think structurally and stuff. And be pretty hard to hide it. I don't know, maybe you can hide it. Maybe you can hide it. It'll look just like a seam. Maybe if it's just there and a clean edge, maybe it wouldn't matter if it was just there.
Or paint some
But,
hinges paint some hinges along the cut line and that'll look.
Mhm. Yeah,
Put a-
really.
Put a door handle there and a little,
Yeah.
Hey, the original, the Hawker Typhoon had a removable tail unit that had a bad habit of falling off at inopportune places, and they ended up putting a bunch of plates around the outside of it, literally to hold the tail of the fuselage on.
really.
And yep,
Wow.
that's why if you take a look at the Typhoon, you'll always see these just ahead of the tailplane. You'll see a joint and a series of plates around it, literally holding the tail on.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's the kind of, I mean, your joint would be at the back of the wing, but I'll bet you could make it, I bet you could make it look like it belonged there. Even if you didn't make it come apart, you could make it look like it was, like it had been a joint line or something like that. It may be less painful than the alternatives, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I got a question has anybody really built a plane that was too light other than Ted Venture?
Yeah, not me. John, did you know Jim Mayfield in Southern California? Did you ever meet him?
I didn't know him well. He lived about 40 miles away from where I lived, but I
Yeah.
see him at contests.
Nice guy, good
Yeah.
flyer, built beautiful airplanes and super light. And he had a derivative of an airplane that sort of looked like Bart's. It was his own, called it a Typhoon or something like that. Anyway, he had one that's way less than 40 ounces for those size airplanes. They had McCoy 40s on them. And he ended up putting like 3 or 4 ounces of lead in the belly. And it flew better, he said. Crazy.
The reason I asked is I got interested in a free flight technique of building round fuselages and the way they jig them up and all that. And I said, you could build a really lightweight stunter using a stick and tissue type setup like that, jigged up to get it good and straight and all. And it's been banging around in my poor old head enough to make me wonder. And then today I thought, well, wait a minute, what if it's too light? And you went through all that effort and whatever to build it real light. And then again, so what are the symptoms of too light? What does it do?
Load on you, wouldn't
Probably,
it?
I think
Yeah.
in Ted's case, he was concerned about not enough line tension, right?
I'm not
I
sure.
think I'm oversimplifying it, but the
Yeah.
fact, the airplane was not, he wasn't able to control it well or anything
Yeah.
like that.
Be kind of floaty, wouldn't it?
It sort of
Yeah.
floats instead
Yeah.
of drive through the maneuvers, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm kind of exploring that now, that Hellcat that I've shown off here in other meetings, that's what I've been flying. And it weighs 39 ounces on 550 squares, all right?
Wow.
It's like, I flew a flight earlier this week. I was still sneaking up on my correct RPM setting. It was flying 6-second laps and I flew a complete pattern with
Wow.
probably about 1 pound of line tension, all right? It never came in. I never backed up on it. I always had control of it, but it was really, really spooky even to fly it that way. It did all the tricks, did fine. And it was fun watching, do it a square corner, you turn it, you'd watch the airplane literally come through and you'd watch the thing incrementally fly through the turn and things like that. It wasn't just, just a snap or something like that.
Slow motion, maybe.
Yeah, that's it. And then doing like the overhead 8 and I said, oh, crap, I don't know if I can do that. I just keep doing it. It just kept staying up there. And it's like, oh, I really like this, And that was obvious. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I knew he'd come through for
I
us
mean,
here.
Ricky, hang on, Keith, 1 second. Spotlight for everyone. Here
I
we
don't know if
go.
that shows up. Little bandages thing.
Oh, yeah.
Here, let's show up there. Does that show up?
Yes.
Kinda. I see
Not
something
very
on the
well.
bottom more.
You know, I've got a picture of the real thing. Maybe I can find that and bring that up.
Mhm.
All right. Wow.
Well, that's something I could do right at the juncture of the trailing
Mhm.
edge and the flap and around the
Mhm.
fuselage there.
But on the subject, or kind of related to the subject of Two Light, did you guys see the thread that who was it? Peter German, I think, just posted about he tried repeating Ted's experiment by adding.
That's what made me wonder. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Relay
But he
it.
just went through and repeated that. And he said he thought it was okay, that the airplane could carry extra weight and stuff like that, which isn't exactly what Ted was going after. Ted was seeking to improve the flying quality of his airplane. And Peter just concluded that, gee, if the airplane had been, another, 120 grams, I think is what it said, if it had been that much heavier, it would still fly well. I just wish the heck you could do it the other way too, put some anti-ballast on it or something like that, and see how the airplane would fly a little bit lighter and stuff like that.
Hydrogen
So,
balloons.
yeah. And but that's what it would take. Or maybe something like this 39-ounce airplane, maybe I should try flying it with, 2, 4, 8 ounces of ballast on it, because at its size, it should fly it should fly reasonably well at 50 ounces or even a little more.
Well,
But
I seem to remember back in the day that we flew between 5.5 to 6 ounce, or 5.5 and 6 second laps.
mhm.
And we didn't have a whole lot of tension, but we trusted the airplane because it had been trimmed to stay out there. And like
I
you
think-
described, that overhead 8
Yeah.
was something to behold. But you're right. Things didn't happen real fast. You had time in
Mhm.
there to react on most things. But that was, I mean, used to be said around here, Gordon Delaney used to always say, a 38-ounce Nobler at this altitude is a killer,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, Bob Gieske had a fair amount of success with light Noblers flying slow, and it worked for him. And he flew in all kind of. He was successful in different weather conditions and everything else. His last nationals, last championship in '79, I think it was. They flew in a hoolie, if I may borrow the term.
Yeah,
And he went through he just motored right on through. He flew extremely well. He didn't make any mistakes. And there were other people, Ted was coming on then. That was before Ted had won his first nationals. Let's see, Al Rabe was there, Les McDonald, and I forget who else, but
is Bob Hunt there? I think he
I
was
don't
there
think
too.
Hunt
I
was
heard.
in that one.
Oh,
But at
maybe
any
not.
rate, Bob Gieske won by just flying steady and not, just, it was like the wind didn't exist for him or something like that. And it was blowing, but it didn't seem to affect him at all. So,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Wow. Let me
When
say
I went-
hi to Carl real quick. Hey, Carl, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
When I went to the 95 Nats, there was a fellow there, but his last name was Dean. I hadn't run into him since anywhere. He's from Klamath Falls area. And he had, if I remember correctly, an SV-11, a scratch-built SV-11. And he flew it at 6 seconds with a Super Tiger 60 in it.
Wow.
And I don't know if any of you were at the 95 Nats, but that 15 knot windsock was like that most of the time, just straight out, and not wiggling at all, which meant it's probably 20 knot winds, somewhere between 15 and 20. And that thing, he flew it, it stayed out there. He didn't, but anyway, okay, well, at least now I know what it does. if I try this, I'll try it on something in the 20 or 25 size, and it'll definitely be electric. You know, probably a 2810 or something like that.
Well, your new lines you're using would help you out too, wouldn't it? That's
Yeah,
light.
Yes, they would.
Yeah, it'll run the new lines.
Mhm.
It'll be lightweight. I'm figuring the heaviest thing on there is going to be the battery, you know, and the power system.
I think the other problem with a rubber model type structure, I've been building some airplanes with stringers in place of blocks and stuff like that. And my problem is that I'm tending, it's like I'm crushing the stringers. All right.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
And I think, the way we traditionally build airplanes and stuff like that, flying and practicing and, campaigning a stunt plane,
Beats it up.
you need something that's robust.
Exactly. I'm
not-
finding
not,
that out
you know,
too.
Robust meaning that it can take a little abuse and just keep bouncing back. It's not brittle or anything like that. And stuff. So, if you went the whole route and tissue covered and everything like that, you'd be poking holes in it all the time and, inadvertently dragging it
Yep.
in. If you monocoat it or something, you're better off, or at least from a durability standpoint, but then
Well, yeah, that'd
you
be
can
my
still
thought.
crush the wood underneath it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
You're absolutely right on all of those points.
but it'd certainly be a way of getting around, substandard wood and stuff like that.
Well, that's the other thought I had on it. You know, you can't buy wood any lower than, unless you take out a note on your mortgage.
Yeah.
It best you can get is maybe 6 pound wood,
Mhm.
and probably closer to 8 pound wood on average.
So, yeah, I'm not sure that, wish we could find a way to use like spruce and stuff like that. But again, you start taking a little bit, and all of a sudden your lightweight structure ends up weighing as much as the normal structure would have weighed too. It'll
Yep.
be durable, but
Yeah. Well, that fella, Ivan Istigar or something like that, he's from Europe, but he builds completely out of foam.
yeah. Yeah, he posted some really nice photo logs on the way he built his airplane, glass skin on blue foam. And boy, there was a pretty good how-to in his photo essay. So,
Yeah. And his weight doesn't seem to be outrageous.
no,
I was
that's some really
talking
neat
to,
features. So,
I was talking to a gentleman named Kestis at the contest I went to last weekend, and he's using all foam on his construction as well. But he buys his foam from Ukraine, and he said it's a number S60. I don't know if anyone's familiar with that type of foam, but
is that the foam or is that the cloth he's using? S60 sounds like a fiberglass designation.
I thought it was the foam. He said the foam comes in S60, S80,
Okay.
and some other size, and it's like $800. When he
How much?
800.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah, that Estefan was building with what looked like just homogenized blue foam, wasn't
Yeah,
popcorn.
Yeah, there wasn't the popcorn, it wasn't the beaded foam, it was
Yeah.
closed
And-
cell foam.
Yeah, with that, you can get a pretty good surface finish that doesn't require an awful lot of extra work or anything. And it's less than $800 a board too. So
Oh, yeah.
you can get it at the local lumber yard.
You
So,
get it at the lumber yard, yeah.
yeah.
What do you got for us, Lynn?
Yeah.
Your show and tell?
That's like
I finished rebuilding Naomi's Shark 402 that crashed at the Nats.
Oh, very nice.
Really?
Oh,
That's
look
great.
good.
I didn't think that thing was gonna go back together. That's
Oh, it
great.
went back together beautifully. No problems at all. I just have to remount the tank after the paint cures for a few days and we're good to rock and roll again.
Boy, I guess you
Wow,
are.
that's
That'll be
great.
great.
All I did after I glued it together is I peeled all the covering off the inboard or the outboard wing and redid the whole wing.
Okay,
And that way you don't see any patch. There's no patching at all. It just looks
Okay.
like brand new again.
let me pass on some advice from my dad. Put a yellow spinner on it. The yellow nose will make it afraid of the ground.
I'll tell Naomi, I'm sure she'll order one tomorrow.
That's it. Yellow noses are afraid of the ground. So
That's right.
I always
Okay.
thought soft rubber spinners. Only when they hit, they bounce.
I'll
Yeah.
bet if you can get some of somebody should be making those sponge spinners. What
yeah,
a great idea, sponge spinner.
yeah. Somebody's going to figure out how to make an airplane out of a swimming pool noodle or something like that.
There you go. Don't tempt me.
Nah, be careful.
That's it.
Sound-
Plant the seed.
I
Sound-
could make a pretty nice long fuselage out of one of those. That's sounding pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me catch up on the chat box. Jack Snavely says, hello all again. He has airplane stickers and a world globe and a checkerboard flag. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it. And I see that Caffeine came in. Hey, Caffeine,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Hi guys,
Hey,
I'm
Caffeine.
getting the COVID right now.
Oh no.
Uh,
Say it
Too
again.
bad, yeah. What?
What'd
What's
you
that?
say?
COVID.
I'm getting the COVID.
Getting COVID. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that. But hopefully it's the, the modern, sedated symptoms. I just had I flu-like symptoms when I had mine. So no big deal.
Yeah.
I was just tired.
Yeah, I
Well,
feel
don't
the same.
stand too close to your camera, okay? So
Yeah, we don't want that stuff.
Yeah, social distancing. So have you done any flying? Did you fix your tank on your plane? What's been going on with you, Caffeine?
Not yet. I just flew the Banshee last weekend, but yeah, that's the only flight I had.
okay, so you haven't been able to like check on your, we had talked about your takeoffs and stuff like that. You haven't been able to do anything with that then, I take it?
Yeah, I did on my Banshee, but yeah, since the beginning, I never had any problems with my Banshee. But
Mhm,
on my
mhm.
Factor, yeah, I should try after my self isolation finish.
Okay,
Yeah,
well, you hunker down and take care of yourself and get
Yeah.
get strong and you can
Yeah,
get back
thank you.
out.
So do you have airplanes that you can work on in isolation, Caffeine?
no, I just fixed the Factor and working on the Cardinal, but that's the only two ships that I can do during the isolation.
Right. And I forgot too, when you're having those symptoms, even though you have time, you don't feel like doing anything. So
Yeah, right.
you wish you could have the time and build, Hey, I'm
Feel
Yeah.
sick.
good, yeah.
Yeah,
That'd be nice. But I didn't feel like doing the thing.
that's right.
Well, thank you for coming in. I appreciate it, even though you're
Not
Probably
feeling
not.
well.
feeling optimal. Thank you for coming in.
Yep, no problem.
I got a question for all you guys. What causes tanks to rust on the inside? I had another one go south this week. This one's really bad. I'll show you, but does anybody have any ideas as to
Yeah.
what causes it? What
Yeah.
causes it?
Well, you know that our fuel is
Right.
what they call hydroscopic, no, it tracks water.
Okay,
So if you leave any fuel, even just a film inside your tank for any length of time, a week, it starts rusting. If it's open to the tin, no, that's that the tank is made from. It's
Right.
usually coated with the tin, the steel or whatever. The part that'll rust is coated with a metal that won't rust. But when
Okay.
we solder, we burn some of that away.
Okay, I'm gonna show you guys this tank. You won't believe it, okay? Because it was on
Awesome.
it was on my magician and I couldn't figure out what the problem was, but I figured it out pretty quick. I'm gonna go get the tank.
Plastic RC tanks, Lynn.
Yeah, I'm starting to think.
And that's why I went almost 100% to plastic RC tanks. Plus, I was fortunate enough to get some good instruction and learn how to make them work almost 100%.
Yeah, I took a different approach, but I've passed any issues with tanks rusting now too, so
Yeah, electrons don't rust the same way.
electrons don't rust.
What was that? You said what doesn't rust?
Electrons.
Are you talking about a name of a tank or something, or are you just joking around here?
No,
I'm joking around. My solution for rusting tanks was lipo batteries instead, so
Oh, okay.
that's.
That'll-
But I actually did discover something on lipo batteries that basically, we charge our batteries to 4.2 volts per cell. All right, that's a peak charge. And the batteries are good for like 300 to 500 charge cycles. Well, if you have like 4 batteries and, you've used those 4 batteries and stuff, you're looking at like, 4 times that, you're looking at, up to 2,000, cycle or flights and stuff like that. So it all seems well and good. But there's a place, I just recently learned, that if you charge the batteries to 4.1 volts instead of 4.2 volts, it doubles the life of the battery.
really?
Yeah. It's phenomenal.
And actually, when you think about that, I think that last 1% or whatever, like going from the 1 to the 2 is really not a lot of charge going in. It's just the top end of it, I think.
Yeah,
Is that-
and apparently putting it
Oh.
right at its limit is a stressful thing for the battery.
That's interesting.
And in consumer products, it's things like cell phones and stuff like that. We expect and hope our batteries last a long time. So our chargers are designed to peak charge them. And, by the time the batteries are worn out, we're ready for a new phone anyway, and it doesn't really show up. But on things like electric cars and stuff, the strategy there is not to peak charge the cars because they do want the batteries to last a long time. They're extremely expensive to replace and stuff like that. So electric cars system chargers are designed to not charge right up to the peak capacity of the battery because the battery will last a lot longer. So all along in windy way of saying that I'm just this last week, I've started experimenting. I'm charging my batteries at 1/10 less and seeing how that works out for me. So
You probably wouldn't miss too much of I don't think you'd miss too much of the flight time too, doing that.
now I'm finding it because it's starting at a slightly lower energy state. It ends up using a little more milliamps for the flight, about 100 milliamps more. But as you hit it right on the head, I'm using so little of the battery that really doesn't change. The way we fly our batteries, we're flying at less than a peak. We're not running them right up to the limit of the battery or anything like that. We're flying at like 70% power and trying to hold that or, for a short period and then, and then it shuts off. So we're not racing, you're not, doing anything like that. We have a very controlled environment. We're going to always fly for the same length of time at the same power levels and stuff. So we can predictably use that part of the battery somewhere in the middle without stressing the battery as on a peak charge. So I was hoping Tryon would be here tonight. He posed that question about a month and a half ago. He was just bought some new batteries and he uses less, he doesn't use them right to the limit of their capacity. And he was wondering if there was a way to help them last longer. That's the way to make it last longer. So, and yeah, okay. The story was, 1/10 of a volt less doubles the life of the battery. If you did it 2/10 less, it doubles it again, or 4 times the original, life of the battery. So if you can set your charger up to charge it at 4 volts instead of 4.2, you can really extend the battery life, cycle life. So,
Wow.
At our age, we never have to buy another battery.
well, for all intents and purposes, yeah, I bought 9 2200 batteries in 2009, and just this year I basically took 4 of them out of service as they just didn't hold a charge anymore. And I got the other ones, I can still fly them. I usually flying them in protected areas, let's put it that way. I just, use them for sport flying and stuff like that. But so, and that's with no special care or anything like that. I peak or bounce charge them, that's about it. But it's, it's one of those things that I think really it is one of those things that we're understanding is something like, I guess the equivalent of why do our tanks rust and stuff like that. You get, if you handle them properly, they won't they won't rust, or be less prone to rusting, last longer and stuff. Well, okay, this is how I make my fuel tanks last a little longer. So
Does your batteries puff up?
the only batteries I've ever had puff up are ones that I over discharged. Okay. Usually that doesn't happen unless you're really, really shorting them out or, discharging them down to their minimum voltage or something like that. And I've had a few, I actually retired. I went through earlier this year, I had a bunch of batteries that for one reason or another had, gone out of service, and I ended up discharging them completely so I could dispose of them. Well, dispose in this case, there's a place that recycles them. So I was able to take them there, and those, when they discharge down to 0, they all seem to puff up a little bit. So
I fly RC and we tend to push the batteries, I think, more.
Yes.
So that'll make them puff.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
know
if you're-
some guys will go lower than they really should, and then
that'll do it.
Wonder why they're not lasting.
Yeah, and I'll run them at high throttle, or very high throttle settings, maximum discharge rate, and things go bad. The guys in the RC club are flying the electric ducted fans. Man, the performance is spectacular, but they don't fly very long. So
Yeah.
They're not running those expensive 6S batteries, are they?
oh yeah, they're running 6S and they're running very high discharge rate, like 80 or 100 CBAT, discharge rates. So
much
that's
are those
the
batteries?
creme de la creme.
Yeah.
That's your folding money. So
Yeah.
Probably $100 some of them, I think.
Hmm?
$100 for them batteries, the big ones that they run on.
well, you can spend cubic money on them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Of course, you look at it with the price of fuel going the way it's going, and trying to get glow plugs, and the cost of them when you do find them.
yeah. I got a question for you guys. There was a thread on there. Somebody was asking what's the modern replacement / equivalent of a Fox 35. And guys were making suggestions, LAs and stuff like that. And I got looking at it, thinking it a different way. There is no modern equivalent. There are no glow engines being made in that size, are there?
No. At least not in this country.
Well, I'm not sure that you can, you might be able to buy something like maybe a 40 or something like that. But even the, OS isn't making any small engines anymore, are they? They're not making 40s or anything. They haven't made 35s in a long time, but.
Well, they're making 10s, 15s, 20s, 25s.
Are they still making 25s?
Last I heard. Now, it doesn't mean that was quite a while ago that I last heard.
Hmm.
I don't know why they quit. That was one of their best. 20 and 25 was probably their best all around size.
Well, they were good engines, but the bottom line is that that's a sweet spot for electric power now too. So that's that power range. So
Well, that's true, and I know most of the other manufacturers are going for the high end. The RC market is what drives the manufacturing
is.
right now. And that's probably because there's so many RCers still, as opposed to anybody else, free flight, RC, control line carrier. We're using the engines that are being made for RC. But it is getting to the point that the RC is going for the power, the big power, and the big power to avoid $100 batteries that you're going to apparently burn out real quick, is to go with the bigger, flashier, more powerful IC engines.
Well, at least what I see at my club, there's a lot of electric stuff, sport models and stuff, and there's a lot of giant scale stuff with with the gasoline engines, chainsaw engines, by whatever you want to call them. And the regular glow powered RC models in the 25 to 60 range or something like that, they're pretty they're becoming unicorns out there.
Yeah, well, I can see why most of us probably have 30, 40, 50, or 100 IC engines stashed away somewhere.
Yeah, I still got a bunch. Yeah, but it's like we're going to be, we're going to be relying on eBay to buy glow engines. So
yeah,
a lot of guys are changing over to gas and RC because of the cost of fuel.
Yeah,
well, I see that. I see that OS is making gas RC engines now.
Yeah,
well, they're even down to like about a 10 cc, aren't they? Like
Yeah,
a
they're
60 size.
Yeah. Mhm.
I got a 10 cc and a Evolution, which
Yeah,
they
yeah.
the same thing, and actually it runs pretty good. I just put it on a F-22 plane and scooted along pretty good.
I would imagine there's a lot of BTUs in that gasoline compared to the standard fuel.
Mhm.
The equivalent of a 10cc motor.
10 cc is a 60.
Okay.
Yeah.
Actually a 61, but you get the picture. So
I know. It's been common knowledge for quite a long while. It started with the speed guys that if you just don't have quite a big enough tank to make the pattern, like let's say I went from here down in Whittier Narrows to fly, and I've got a 4-ounce tank, and I'm flying a 51 on it, and up here I'm running in 3/4 of a tank. Down there, I fill the tank up, and I'll run out of fuel about somewhere between the overhead 8s and the Clover. So the easy fix is to get some white gas, mix a couple of tablespoons of white gas into your fuel, and that'll extend your flight because of the extra BTUs out of the gasoline.
Right. Now, when you also lengthen your flight, if you went down in your nitro content, went down from 15% down to 10%.
You can do that because nitro, if I remember correct, unless it's hot, unless it's real hot, you can't afford to go down on nitro if it's like 90, 98 to 110 degrees. You just won't have enough power and the engine will run crappy. So you have to boost your nitro, which means you need a bigger tank. That's why I like my Stalkers. I run FAI fuel, and it works. So far, it's worked everywhere I've gone. I have run into the fact that in some areas I don't have enough fuel to, when I go. I'm at a high altitude. I'm at almost 5,500 feet where I'm at right now. And when I go down, say like to Whittier Narrows, which is what, 600 feet above sea level?
I don't know what it is.
Huh? Yeah, I think that's about it. Because I lived in the area and it was 660 feet above sea level where I live. So when I go there, I mean, it burns a lot more fuel. It's got more oxygen, and it makes a lot of power while it's running. But if I don't have that extra reserve of fuel, I won't get through the pattern.
Oh, okay.
But for the most part, they, running the way it does run, if it's lacking in power doing that, I don't see it because of the increased oxygen makes the power go up. You burn more fuel, you make it more oxygen.
Right.
And when I come up here to higher altitude where I've got less oxygen, I'm burning less fuel, so the fuel mix is still good. And it apparently has enough power to fly the pattern up here. So I suppose, what's his name? He died not too long ago. He's the one that was campaigning the Belfry Brown.
Carl Shoup.
Carl Shoup. Carl Shoup once, and he probably holds the record for this. There's a pass going between here and where he's going in Colorado. The pass is at 10,000 feet.
Wow.
And there's a big pullout up there. And he had to be going through there, and he had a little half-8 combat ship. And he took that thing out and flew that half-8 combat ship at 10,000 feet. Now, I don't know if there's anybody that has beat that yet or not. But
That's interesting.
just a little interesting tidbit.
Yeah, that is interesting.
And it ran and hauled his plane around. I don't know, since I didn't see it, just if he could have done a combat match, But he didn't have a fancy 4 or one of those. He had a TD, Cox TD. I think it was the black one, the 051.
Yeah.
I have a comment from Jeff Riley. He says, from my old go-kart experience, when you change from gasoline to methanol, you need 2.5 times bigger jets in the carburetor.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And interestingly enough, if you up the compression far enough, you need to go change your jets again.
Well,
I had my Yamaha motorcycle, twin 250. I was running it at the drags, Lions and Cucamonga and places like that. And I wound up with a set of high compression heads from a manufacturer wanted to sponsor me them. And so I put them on there, and my coils couldn't make enough electricity to fire the plugs. So I wound up, I had to get some other coils, Lucas coils from England.
Oh yeah, I know about that.
And they were much bigger. So one of the places I could do it, mount them on the down tubes in front of the engine. And then it ran, and it ran good, and it was a little faster, but it wasn't that much faster. Those heads didn't stay on there more than 3 weeks.
yeah. Lucas, Prince of Darkness, Electrical Systems. So
Yes. And I had a British car, a Triumph, so I'm very familiar with Lucas Electronics.
yeah.
Not very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you know how much they had a motorcycle? Sorry to change the subject. I think it was called the Vernon. the engine itself. It was a white V twin, and it was huge, black. No, anyway, but the engine itself was was the main part of the frame, and the rear end bolted through some areas on the back of the engine that were designed for it. So the back end was tied to the engine, and the front end was tied to the engine. And you go around the corners, and the machine was doing this on you. But they were fast, very fast, 1,000 cc's at the time.
I don't know.
Anyway, I just heard how much one of those is worth today. Over $1 million.
Jeez.
Over $1 million for a motorcycle.
Wow. Wow.
And
I have a question, a model airplane question. Yeah, I've heard that Bill Wurbridge has changed out control systems where, you know, the bell crank or maybe the lead outs. And I'm just trying to figure out, how do you change out the lead outs in a built up ship? And I've always been curious, how could he possibly change out the lead outs? Any of you have any experience doing that?
I have done that, and I did it on a couple of the Brodak R's that used to have really, really bad lead out systems, and you either changed them out or you crashed the airplane. There was, I mean, and the way I ended up doing it is a couple of different ways. The way that ultimately was the best for me is I got the nylon, the small nyrod push rods from Sullivan. They're the outer sheath is just under 3/32 of an inch. The inner, it'll pass a 1/32 cable. Okay.
Okay.
And I would cut the lead out. I would cut cut holes at the bell crank where the lead outs were, you know, at that end, clip the lead outs off and pull them out. Then I took the line guide, the lead out guide, and I drilled it out 3/32 so I could slide this tube through it. Then I put a piece of music wire inside the plastic tubing and slid that through the ribs until I could pick it up at the bell crank end. Take the wire out, slide a lead out cable through it, and then it's like kind of building a ship in a bottle, getting the cable, you know, routed through the bell crank and wrapping it up and everything like that. And of course, once you get it at the bell crank end, you know, getting it at the other end is just, you know, kind of business as usual.
Okay.
But that was the way it worked for me. It was using a piece of plastic tubing. I've seen other people, and I had a hard time with it, but I've seen other people use the existing lead out to pull a new cable through.
Yeah.
But you always get into that situation where you're passing through the line guide and stuff, and the only way you can clear it is, you know, it is to make the hole bigger, and the only way you can make the hole bigger is to take the lead out. When you do that, of course, you lose everything. So, so I wasn't able to do that. So I settled on this other method that worked for me. So.
Okay. So when you drilled out the lead out guide to accommodate the Sullivan casing, so did you have to replace the lead out guide, or you put a new tube in there, or because my lead out guides have a
About a 1/16 hole.
oh, is okay. I'm trying to remember how thin it was. Okay.
It's something like that. And the difference between that and a 3/32 hole just isn't that big. You come right down to it. It does not, you know, when over length of the lead out, it just doesn't affect it. It's the same as we used to use a piece of 1/8" tubing at, you know, at the wingtip to pass the lead out through.
Yes,
And
I
a piece
remember
of
those.
1/8" tubing is 3/32 through the inside. All right. So same old stuff. When you drill a 3/32 hole through
Okay.
through an adjustable line guide. So.
And most of my lead out guides would have like a brass eyelet or something to kind of
Yeah.
okay.
Now, if you had a really, really small tube or something like that, I guess I'm not sure what you do about it, but
Okay.
I think what I would try then would be to try to pass the 1/32 music wire through there and use that as a guide to somehow pull a cable through behind it, maybe solder it, you know,
Yeah.
at the end or something.
Right.
But,
You know, this brings to mind something that I saw Walter Emlin do. on an airplane. Actually, it was his Sterling Ringmaster Imperial. We poked a hole in it, and it was right where it was, right up on top where everything could be seen, and it was all painted. It was, anyway, and we were gonna fly it, take it down to the orange meet that in about 2 or 3 days. Anyway, what he did is he opened up that brake, kind of got them so they pedaled out a little bit, and he took a piece of silk span and he worked it where he got it inside, and he was able to stick it to the underside of that hole. And then when that dried, he then laid the parts down and doped them into place. When he got done with that, you could hardly see it. And when he got completely done with it, you couldn't see it. Now, I wonder if you couldn't do that on the bottom of a silk span wing when you try and change out the controls.
Huh.
Hello.
I don't know if I could do it if I just wanted to do it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You're going to be doing something like that when you figure out what to do with your control horn in the Pathfinder, but
yeah, I will be.
so
But
let's see.
it's going to be a challenge, but that's why the SV11 is getting fixed first, and then next is the twin flight streak. Nice thing about the twin flight streak, gives me 2 events, gives me profile
Yep.
and classic. So
Hang on a second.
and if I can't get the Pathfinder LE finished, at least I've got the SV11 to fly.
What plane will give you classic and profile? What was that again?
The twin flight streak.
Okay.
It's got classic. It's classic design. Has 2 profile fuselages.
Mhm.
Because Carl and I was talking about that this afternoon, having a double threat, with one airplane.
I like a triple threat.
You wanted a triple threat.
Mhm.
Here's what it is, in my opinion, and I think I know that the one I had, Keith has flown, and that's the Excalibur, Dick Mathis' Excalibur 1, the first one. He flew mine at a contest, beat me with it.
That's a beating. That's
Yeah,
I don't
well,
know, John, I thought you were going to go ka-chinging on us. You can do the
What?
Pathfinder in
Oh, no.
Nostalgia 30,
oh yeah, but no, the Excalibur will do
We do
classic,
classic. Yeah.
Pathfinder, and regular. It flies well enough. You can fly it in a. I
Mhm.
mean, judges will never give you the points you should get
Hey, John,
if you.
John?
Who said what?
that's Keith.
Keith.
I think I remember that contest. And you placing kept you from a trophy, so I think I gave you the trophy, didn't I?
You did. You
Okay.
did. But it flew very well for him,
Yeah,
and it's a great flying little airplane. It flies much better than it looks like it should. It's got a relatively skinny wing, and it's somewhat pointy, but it's those what do they call turbulators. He didn't sheet the leading edge. It's got turbulators on it. And that does something to that airfoil, because that airplane really flies well.
well, there are 2 Excaliburs. Do you know which one that was?
Mine was Excalibur 1. That's the turbulators. You're thinking the other one was the Excalibur 2, where they sheeted the airfoil, sheeted the leading edge.
Mhm. Did they? I thought the second one had a different airfoil, but I thought it was still.
It did have a
open.
different airfoil, but it had a sheeted leading edge. And it's not classic legal.
Right.
But what a fun little airplane.
Hmm.
I had a OS 35S on that one. Perfect match for that airframe. I've got an Umland kit for that airplane, and I'm trying to decide whether to build that or just trace off the parts and save the kit.
And would the
Yeah.
Tudor one be classic legal?
No.
Tudor one.
No,
What do you got there?
I picked this up at a swap meet this last year, I forget where. Haven't even opened it up to see what it is, what's in there.
oh
Wow.
my
I'll have to
goodness,
do that sometime.
yeah.
I think I only paid a couple bucks for this thing, so.
Wow.
Well, if it doesn't have the sheeted leading edge, you're in good shape for a classic legal profile.
Yeah, I'll have to look at it.
I got a question. I got a Tudor and it's pretty heavy. It was a hand-me-down and
Mhm.
I fixed it up and the wing, when I took the sheeting off the monocoat off the wing, you could take a credit card and you could kind of squeegee out the oil and grease from
Oh,
one end of the
Oh.
wing to the other. It was that bad, like literally, like, but so it's pretty heavy, and I got a 40 Tower 40 on it.
Uh-huh.
Would there be a significant difference if I went to an OS 46? Because
Yeah,
I'm worried when I get into the overhead stuff, I'm going to run into a problem.
you
I'm just
are.
starting to learn the pattern. I'm halfway through.
The 46 has a little bit more power than this. The OS, well, it's more in a more usable band, I think. The OS 40 FP, I believe, is a little more powerful than the 40 LA. The Tower 40 is a better engine than any of the OSs are there, but you can't get them. They only made them a short while. So I guess in answer to your question, they bolt in the same place. Bolt one in and see how it goes.
Okay. All right, I might do that. I was thinking of this just because I almost got in trouble when I was a little off on the wind when I was doing the pattern.
Mhm.
And I'm only halfway through, but I think when I get up above, I could get a little scary.
Do you like the airplane?
I mean, well, I'm just learning. But so far, yeah. In a way, I like it. It seems well compared to some of the other stuff I've flown. Yeah,
Well, it is a good airplane.
it's been doing okay. I mean, again, I'm just beginner, so it's I mean, I've got one that a checkmate. I don't know, and it hasn't got ailerons. So this is when I go to the Tudor, it's like a huge difference. It's a lot better.
If you really like the airplane, may I make a suggestion for you to consider?
Yeah.
Take it apart, trace the parts, and scratch build a new one, because it is a good airplane.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Before you lose, before you,
You know, I'd hate to take it apart because, well, unless I mean, I was going to scrap it or something. Like, I mean, it's to the point that it's almost ready for the scrapyard.
yeah.
Been crashed by other people, and so it's gotten pretty heavy, I think.
I had one, and I'm trying to remember whether it has a tapered wing or a Hershey bar wing.
I don't know what you mean by that. It looks straight. I think it's
Hershey
straight.
bar wing is the leading edge and the trailing edge are parallel.
Well, you're talking about a Tudor, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Tudors have tapered wings.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Tapered, I guess. That's right.
See,
Yeah,
if
it is
just
tapered.
had,
The front's straight, isn't it? And then the back's tapered.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it was a Hershey bar wing, all the ribs would be like a twister. All the ribs are the same.
Mhm.
And so you could go ahead and crash the airplane, and odds are there'd be one rib at least that'll be able to be a guide for you.
Right.
With the tapered wing on the Tudor, decide what day is its final days. when you do decide that, before you get there, take apart, make patterns. Because by that time it gets to there, it's going to be so heavy, so greasy and oily. You couldn't glue it back together if you had to.
Oh, I know. Yeah, that's the thing I thought of.
Oh, there's the Excalibur one. Cute, huh? Now see that pointed leading edge on there? You don't have to make it that pointed. I use the same size leading edge, but I blunted that as much as I could. But that is a nice flying airplane.
I'll give you $3 for it.
Hey,
Nice.
if you're talking about,
That's a 50% increase in
well, you know,
Okay. Now let me do that one more
if it was
time.
Bitcoin, I'd take it, you know. Which one you got there, okay, that's the
2.
That's the 2. It's got a different airfoil, as you can see.
Somebody else.
Yeah, it does not have a sheeted leading edge.
Well,
Does that have workable ailerons or no?
yeah.
Okay.
This one doesn't. You're right, but
Doesn't,
the one I saw did.
so maybe they
Maybe
adjust-
somebody built
built
one and
that
then just
way.
sheeted over it.
Could
Yeah.
be.
It was, it looks like instead of the turbulators, he used a lot of half ribs on it to maintain the airfoil, and then he used a more traditional looking airfoil, actually fairly blunt looking airfoil.
Yeah,
This Excalibur stunt, is that the second one?
yeah.
Yes.
Is
That's the one that's not classic legal.
okay? All right. Okay.
I think somebody made a kit of it,
The inboard
like
wings.
classic legal, and they got schooled on it.
Hey, Philip, thank you for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, glad to be here. Now that's the second version.
Yeah, that both of them are good flying airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, September 1973.
Yeah.
So it's a Super 70s or Nostalgia 30, but not classic.
I went to contests where that was the only plane I took with me.
Mhm.
Flew 3 events. Hi, Phil.
Hey, how are you?
I'm well. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Been a week-long saga with my uncle's plumbing, but we finally got it fixed
Oh, boy.
Wednesday or Thursday.
Well, I guess I
And,
shouldn't ask you if you got your new building all set up.
No, I haven't done any building. I got down there and I made the inboard wing tip. Made the guide for it. That's as far as I got.
Progress. Take every
Yeah,
little
well,
bit you can get.
Any you
Yeah,
can
that-
get, yeah.
You're
That's
ahead. You're
it.
ahead of me for my next year airplane. So
Yeah, this one's for a few weeks. I
Oh.
hope to have it. I hope to have this one finished for this year in time to take the October contest at Huntersville. It's going to be my profile, and then I'm going to I hope pick up my Revolution from Trey in 3 weeks and fly it in Atlanta and in Huntersville. We'll see. I talked to him the other night, and sounds like we're on par to do that. I'm gonna go down a day early and practice with it a little bit.
when's Huntersville?
Huntersville is mid-October. I can't remember the date, but
Okay, reason I asked, I went looking for contests through the end of the year, and I thought there was supposed to be one there, and it wasn't shown on Stunthangar, so they hadn't posted anything yet.
I'll get you the date. I can't remember. It's the same weekend as the race, but I can't remember. And it always seems to be the weekend of the. It always seems in Lexington we have the barbecue festival. It's our biggest festival of the year, and it always seems to be on the same weekend as the barbecue festival. So, because I always have to either go to the festival or go to the contest, and I usually go to the contest. But I tell you, one of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So what you been up to, Lynn? Phil, you done any flying or anything?
We did go flying the other day. Managed to do something I have not done in 30 years. I hooked my plane up backwards, hooked the lines up backwards. I went from the cloth lines back to the metal lines because I just did not want to go through all the rebalance of, the thing flying with the outboard wing down so low. I decided I'm going to try to get a few flights in today. And first thing I did was take off with the lines backwards. And I said, well, it's on the ground. What if I just put a little bit of up in it, which will be down, and get a prop strike and it'll quit? Well, I cut half an inch off the prop before it quit. And it was the only good prop I had with me that was set up right. So I had to change the RPM and everything else to make it work. But it does work. It did work. And everybody said, well, you tore up a good prop. Yeah, but it didn't tear up an airplane. Had it got airborne, I'd tore up a good airplane.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think fast enough to turn the handle over. I've talked to people who've done that, but Hoyt Hawkins, I saw do that one time in Atlanta. He took off and got the thing up and got it up high enough that he was able to take the handle. And we all wondered, what the heck is he doing? He's turned his handle over. But he hooked the lines up backwards. He let his buddy hook the lines up and he hooked them up backwards. And I don't know what happened. Where did everybody go?
Well, we're still here. I saw a
I
bright
just went to a
light.
white screen. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I saw a bright light in your shirt and face.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Can you still hear us?
Yeah, I still hear you. There you are. I don't know what that was all about. But anyway, it's my computer's doing weird things tonight, evidently. Anyway, Hoyt could do that kind of stuff. I can't. I just went ahead and took the prop strike and lost the propeller rather than lose the whole airplane. But I went to one of the new propellers and it took me 2 flights to get the RPM right. But I got 4 flights in that were pretty good flights.
And that's that's the prop. You don't like the name?
Excuse me?
Is that the prop? You don't like the name?
No. I was using it's an APC 11.6 pusher F2. It's not an F2B. The 12.6 is the F2B. The 11.6 was not an F2B, but that's what I was using, one that had been cut down. And the one I've got on it now is one of the new, I think it's the same thing, but it's a 5.5 pitch pusher. And it's the RPM was so much different and the air was so weird out there. It took me 2 flights to get the RPM right. So now I think I've learned a trick. Dennis just got it walked away. I hope he can still hear. I'm thinking about carrying, rather than fumbling with my RPM on an electric, if I get it where it's flying right in dead air, if it gets a little bit windy, just put, instead of a 5.5 pitch, put a 6 pitch or 7 pitch on there and speed it up with a propeller rather than fumbling with the charger. Now, I mean the ESC. It might work better on the other airplane where I've got a Fioretti timer and all that in it, and I can do it with a jetty box. But this particular one has an RSM in it, and you got to, up and down it. And the thing of it is, it's supposed to, when you get through, you turn this thing on and you push it 2 times fast. I think I remember this right. Push it 2 times fast and it puts it in programming mode for RPM. Right. And then you have up and down scales to take the RPM up.
Right.
When you get where you want it, you're supposed to push S1 one more time and the LED is supposed to flash twice.
Right.
Mine didn't flash. Mine never flashed. It stayed on.
Oh.
And it just goes off. And I thought, well, I don't know what's going to happen here. So I put a pattern on it, very apprehensive because it didn't do what it's supposed to do. Is it going to just quit or what's it going to do? So far, it's been fine. It may quit next flight. I don't know. So far, it's been great. But nevertheless, I'm flying at 9,300 RPM, which I've never thought about spinning one that hard in an electric. But I'm using a 5.5 pitch prop, APC prop. And I'm going back to a 6 pitch. I'm going to try to balance one tonight or in the morning before I go and take it. I've got a prop, one of those things from the machine shop. Dang, if I can think of his name.
Please.
Jim Lee. There you go. Thank you. Some days I can remember everybody's name. Some days I have off time. But Jim makes a thing that the shaft, the piece of it just fits in the hub of the propeller, stock propeller, and just measured out the size you want it. You scribe each end of it, go back and cut it down and sand it off, balance the thing, and it's right. Well, I've got one of those and I really like it. Jim made
I
a heck
like
of a
mine
tool
too.
there.
It's a really good tool. I use it.
It really is.
It really is.
But
neat.
I'm gonna try to get that done. I gotta order some metal from him so I can make some the line clips the size I need. I'm off just a little bit. I need a shorter short one or a longer long one. And I've got I've got the shortest one on one end that I have, and the longest one on the other end I have, and the two shortest ones I have on the other end. Those steel lines are just a little bit off. Now my cloth lines work great, but like I say, it flies with the outboard tip down so bad. And I don't want to waste 2 flights in the morning trying to get it right. So I'm just going to fly on the metal lines this week and try to have a little fun.
Well, Phil,
ready to
just
have a
take
little
out,
fun
just
again.
take out a couple of slugs.
Well, I thought about that, Dennis, but that will probably be fine. But with my luck, it would be too much and I'd end up tearing something up.
Take out a half an ounce, you'll never miss it. You'll probably still have too much.
Yeah, I may do that because I've got 2 sets of lines made up and tested, a set of 100 pounds and a set of 65 pounds. And that
Mhm.
plane, I think, will fly on 65 pounds because I can hold my arm bent and fly that plane looking down the lines of the whole pattern. I ain't no Charlie Atlas, guys. I mean, it just doesn't pull that hard. You can sit and it might pull 5 pounds, but I don't think it pulls any more than that.
Mhm.
And those lines are good for 65 pounds. So I think it'd be more than enough.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I may go ahead and do that in the morning, Dennis. In fact, I may pull the weight out tonight. It's laying over here on the couch.
Yeah, do it and commit to it. Don't go back and forth because then you're surely going to forget where you're at, right? So
Oh,
just,
you know my memory say you do.
Yeah.
well, I know my memory, and it's like the only way I could do this thing with the Spectre lines is to go all in or not at all. So
Well, that's what I'm trying to do. But this particular airplane, I haven't readjusted yet. But I've got 2 others that I've already. Well, I didn't give the lines away. I misplaced them, but I'm missing 3 handles and 2 sets of lines, and I don't know what the devil I've done. But anyway,
mhm.
somewhere around here, there's a box that's got some nice handles and wires in them. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I didn't lose them, and I don't think anybody took them because ain't nobody been in my basement. So
Yeah.
they're just misplaced. But
I do that all
Anyway.
the time, Phil. I had Brent Williams sent me a whole set of all of those clips for 2 clips of each size,
Nice.
sweetheart deal and all that. And I set them down
Yeah.
somewhere and they're in this house that I can't find them. And
yeah, CRS is real, guys. For you young fellas
Mhm.
out there, CRS is real. Can't remember stuff.
you're that. Did Len ever come back with his
So
tank?
matter of fact,
He
Mark
never came back
Wise,
with his rusty fuel tank. So
Mark Wise asked what happened to Lynn, and I told him he went to get a fuel tank, but we haven't seen him since then. So I don't know what's going on. And Mark Lumen says, got you the light, got back from Haiti, gonna just watch tonight. Well, welcome back, Mark.
Ah, Mark, how am I going to give you a hard time if you're watching?
Phil, I wanted to tell you that as far as the line clips, now I really appreciate Jim Lee, and I hate to take
Oh, me too. Jim's a
anything
great
away from
guy.
him, but what I've done is ordered 3 different sizes of wire from McMaster
Uh-huh.
car. They're spring steel, and I have 3 different sizes because when I make my clips, the longer clips need to be, pretty thicker wire, and then when I do the smallest clips, I need thinner wire. So I have 3 different sizes of spring wire that I purchased from McMaster car, and that's kind of how I do it because the same.
Can you send me a link as to exactly what those 3 sizes are, and I'll do the same thing.
Okay.
If I get it if I see it in writing, I might remember it. But if you tell me,
Okay, I understand.
sonic boom through my ears, brother.
Unless he prints it out and sets it down somewhere.
If I print it out and look at, whoa, wait a minute. Okay.
John, that
I'm
was
trying-
good.
I'm trying to put a like on here, but this thing's trying to be stubborn. And it's not trying, it's succeeding. There we go, finally. All right, I ain't gonna put the like delivered, but it's on there anyway.
All right.
But anyhow, did anybody else get any flying done this week? I
Oh,
know,
we've been
I
talking
know,
about it. Yeah.
I know that Dennis did. I'm sure Dennis did, and I'm sure that Charles did, but I don't know. Anybody else? Gary, when you going flying again?
Len said he did.
Oh, I don't doubt that. This is the only time of year that Glenn's got good weather in Canada. He's only got about 3 weeks that there's no snow and another band's not coming in.
Nah, he's not quite that far north, Phil. But,
Oh, I'm telling you.
He's south. He's almost south of
We
me.
live in the southern part of all of Canada.
yeah.
Yeah, he's right there at Detroit.
So
I just
we're
like- I just
we're
like to
pretty
ride
much
it.
equal with Detroit.
That's
Yeah.
it. Well, hey,
I just
when
want to
you,
find out if he got his. I want to find out if he got his package.
I don't know. I
Give him
gave him the number, but he never said tonight.
Yeah,
Gave him the tracking number.
yeah. Well, I hope he got it. I just because I sure as heck don't have another one to send him. Oh Lordy.
Well, to
Anyway.
answer your question, Carl flew with me today, so Carl got some flying in as well.
Good deal. What'd you fly? Your SV?
Yeah, I flew my SV, and Carl flew a combat plane.
What did you do? Did you modify the SV any other than? I know your top comes off, but did you do anything else to it?
I'm trying to remember. I don't think so. Nothing besides the top coming off.
Did you use the
Oh,
stock
you know what?
horns?
The push rod from the bell crank to the flap horn has a left and a right hand thread, and that's different. You know,
Yeah, I did that too. I modified that and put it back there on ball links both ends. But I'm trying to decide whether to go with a 1 1/4 push rod at the flaps and go conventional, the bell crank to the top, and then 1 inch back to the elevator and have it adjustable. I've got
that's
the
what I did.
I've
That's
got the links
exactly what I
coming.
did. That's
Okay,
exactly what I
that's
did.
what you did. Okay,
Yeah, Tom Morris control system. I didn't use the what came in the kit. But what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
getting
what I
ready to
did.
do is I'm going to change the landing gear. When I went to the contest, I fly on grass, and
Mhm.
when I was landing, I was bouncing. I mean, I did get a good landing in my first round, but the second round I bounced, bounce. You know,
Yeah,
and, I just hate giving away points. So actually, Jeff Riley is helping me out. We talked to even today before the show. He's gonna make me a set of landing gear which sweeps back a little bit further, and hopefully
Yeah.
that'll fix that because
I want to get a set of carbon ones that fits the SV11. That's too pretty airplane to put that on, put those metal gear on.
I got a question about when you're talking about landing gear here. I know in RC you got to tow them in. Do you
Uh-huh.
guys do that with the control line?
I've
I
seen
tried
I
to.
used. Go ahead, Dennis. Go
I
ahead,
was just
Dennis.
going to say I tried to tow him in. That's all. That's all I was going to say on that.
Try to do
I
that.
I've tried to tow them in, but ever so slightly, and then I
Mhm.
put a little play in the tires so that it can, instead of chattering, because we got one guy that tried to tow his in. When he took off, he got behind the airplane, and it didn't do anything funny. Just the landing gear looked like it was trying to do this, and then it took off and it flew great. But when that sucker went to land, it looked like as soon as it touched down, the main gear tried to throw the plane to the inboard circle. And I thought, I've seen them go to the outside that bad, but I've never seen one go to the inside that bad. I don't know how much he had it towed in. I never did get to see it, but I've always just taken my axles and tried to tweak them just a touch, and then make some slop in the wheels to where they don't bind or anything, and they'll give a little bit. So if you overcorrect, it'll try to straighten itself out. But the biggest thing, one of the guys showed me, is take the airplane out there and just take it and look straight down it and push it away from you. It should go straight or slightly inboard. But if it turns outboard, you're going to chatter that landing gear on takeoff and landing, and that's going to lead to a bounce.
So you don't want it to go outboard, as
No.
you said. Okay.
right.
Okay.
If it goes outboard when you try to take off, it's going to leap in the air, and even when you land, you're going to have a problem with it, wanting to try to get away from you. So you want it, just like Phil said. I have mine, and I learned that from Bob Whiteley. That when I went to visit him and he saw my landing gear, he just made it just a little bit come into the circle, and I was surprised. But he wanted the plane to just kind of glide or roll the same arc as a circle, Because I'm just
Okay,
ready to
so-
step back when I'm taking off. I'm just ready to walk back. If I need to walk back, that way the plane doesn't leap in the air, trying to get away from the lines.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, okay, so you're saying you almost want it, so it's like you say, if you push the plane, it'll actually take the arc of the end.
Just an ever so slight turn to the left. It don't have to be much.
yeah,
All right.
One of
that's
the, like I say, one of
interesting.
our guys took and put too much left in it, and the plane's trying to jump. It's trying to follow that in, and it makes it a real pistol to hang on with. That's what I thought about doing right there.
what's that mean?
Somebody's got a picture up there, SV11.
This
Okay, yeah.
is the SV11 prototype I built, and I didn't like how close the ball lengths were running into each other, plus the block nut hardware and everything like that. And I settled on this scheme where I put them both on the same top hole of the flap horn. And what that
Well, I
also
did-
means is that I don't lose any movement going to the elevator, so I can use the top horn on the elevator horn too, and get a maximum mechanical advantage at both ends that way.
Dude, I set mine up so I have about 30 degrees, not even that, about 28 degrees on the flaps and about 30 to 32 degrees on the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
I always like that little bit of more elevator than flap.
Yeah.
Now, the beauty of this is that you don't lose any movement. If you go to like the next hole down, you lose motion to the tail, which means the tail horn has to be shorter yet.
Yep.
And you start really losing a mechanical advantage. So if you want to go with extra elevator, you're starting kind of behind it. If you start all the way out like this, you got a lot better chance of maintaining your mechanical advantage when you get to that elevator, to the shorter
Is
horn
there
on the
any
elevator.
reason not to put that elevator, the push rod that goes from the flap horn to the elevator horn? Any reason not to put that on the other side of the horn? It seems like that would make less twisting motion on the thing.
Well,
Be a
that's
little,
exactly what I did this for. You see, the source of the control input is coming from the bell crank. That's in the middle.
yeah.
So I got one side is the horn resisting, and the other side is the elevator resisting.
Ah,
So there's no twist, there's less twisty motion, if you will, into the middle. Of course, it's a ball joint, so it shouldn't matter anyway. But if you put it both on, if you move this to this side, then you have all of the control loads on one side of the of the push rod. All right. If you do it this way, you got it split up on both sides of the push of the
okay, makes sense. So I can't argue with you when you make sense, Dennis.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense or not. It's just how I settled on doing it, but
Hey,
Well,
Howard.
my
trying to
story and
decide-
I'm sticking to it. So
Yeah, I was trying to decide whether to do that or to buy those new horns at $10 a piece and put them in there. Well, really 10 for one, 15 the other, because you got to buy that little slider piece in the elevator.
Mhm.
So
well, yeah, go ahead and put the slider horn out there, but get the maximum motion to work with, and then your slider horn will be out towards the far away out instead of
yeah,
too close in. If you get in too close, you start losing mechanical stuff.
yeah,
You
makes
just
sense
start
to me.
losing the leverage. That's all.
Okay, makes sense to me.
You talk to our good friend here from out the Pacific Northwest. He'll send you a little Excel spreadsheet to help you figure out how far you want to move it.
I'd like to have that. I'd like to have a copy of that. That sounds pretty neat.
Yeah, I
These
got
guys, so I use all the brains I got and all I can borrow because I ain't got that much, but I got friends who do.
I like that. Use all the brains
Yeah.
I got and what I can
So
borrow.
Howard, I just volunteered you. I'm sorry, but
You got Excel?
My wife, we have it on the computer. That don't mean I know how to use it, but my wife does.
all right.
Can I ask a quick question before I go?
All right, Stuart.
Last session, I had that magnetic building board, and I was going to put it on Stunthangar. Is there? I haven't done much with that, and I'm not a computer geek, so I don't know anything. So, is there an area in the Stunthangar that I should put that on to some pictures and stuff, and where I get the 3D printing?
Oh,
You know what I mean? Like, is there an
yeah,
area?
that could be under the building form or the main form.
Okay. Maybe I could put it into the main form, because then the people that have are viewing, they can look it up.
Right.
So, or should I put it on both? Is that not?
No, I don't think I'd put it on both. It'd be one or
Okay.
the other. If it's in the wrong place, if the moderator feels it should be in a particular place, the moderator will move it.
Okay, that's fine. I just wasn't sure because I've never done anything like that. I got to run, so have a good night. We'll see you a little later.
Oh,
See you
heck.
later, Stuart.
All right,
Take
thank you,
care,
Stuart, for
Stuart.
coming in.
Take care.
See you,
Bye.
bud.
And it looks like we finally lost Len completely here, huh?
Maybe
So-
he'll come back.
He'll be
Yeah.
back.
So Brent Williams says, hi guys, hoping to make it to Mike Hazel's Fun Fly contest in Oregon tomorrow. All right, well, have a good time, Brent.
Sounds good.
So
We've
how you
got a
doing, Howard?
contest.
I guess Howard's walked around. How you doing, Howard?
I'm doing all right.
Good. Thank you for coming in.
It's nice to be here.
Yeah. How's the dog doing?
Oh, it's just sitting here. It's kind of messed up. Being out in the sun made it bumpy, and
Uh-oh.
then guy tripped over the lines and messed up the wingtip. And
Oh, really?
Man.
Oh, man. That's no good.
Man.
That hurts.
It happened in Warsaw, or it happened in your backyard?
it happened at the World Champs.
Okay.
Golly. It don't matter. It don't matter what you got, whether it's a sports car, a hot rod, a Rolls Royce, or a model airplane. You try to have something nice. Somebody will, in their infinite wisdom, try their best to screw it up for you, intentionally or unintentionally. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, you get more tourists in that situation, and you kind of probably ought to be prepared for it.
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared.
I'm about ready to decide that what we all need is when we run our lines out, we need 2 long nails or weights, one or the other, and some of that yellow caution tape that the police use.
Yeah.
And put that out and run it out right where you're going to lay your lines. And then if they step on it, then look, dodo bird, I can't make it any more foolproof than that. You got to open your eyes. But somebody sure as heck would step on them anyway. I mean, it's just going to happen.
Either that or go pick it up and see what it is.
Yeah, I remember setting up the cones at the end of the parking lot where we were flying, and looking up, and there was a kid using them to slalom his bicycle. So
Oh no. Oh
it that's the way it is sometimes, you know.
yeah.
We had one guy that had him out, and the car drove right through him. But he's flying. Drives up to, rolls the window down, and starts asking him questions.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had an interesting one the other day. I finally bought some traffic cones, 2 foot and foot and a half, and we put those out directly across from each other to help us with our wing overs, get our wing overs symmetrical, and then we set the others out at 45 degrees off for our, so we set the size of our maneuvers. And I kept thinking, well, what do we do when the wind changes? What are we going to do when the wind changes? Well, we didn't have any wind, nothing. So he's having to take a step back every time you did a maneuver. You had to take a step back or pay the penalty. See the whole top or bottom of your airplane. So, but it does help. But those maneuvers are a lot smaller than I thought they were.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, I was having to really bear down to get the figure 8 in where it's supposed to be. You can keep it on top of the cones or inside of the cones, I should say. So they're smaller than you think they are, and 45 degrees is not as tall as they get. Some of these guys that I kept thinking are flying too small. When you get out there in a circle and you really look, you take a 30, 60, 90 triangle with you, and you walk out there and you look, you have to get that bottom line even with your eye. That's what everybody forgets. They think you're going to just hold it up there and see where 45 degrees is. No, the bottom of it has to be at eye level.
Thank you.
And then you look up it and
Thank
see
you.
where 45 degrees is.
Yeah.
So it takes two people if you want to do it right. Tom Looper was holding it for me, and Tom's like this to do it, but Tom's holding it for me, and I'm looking at it, and I thought, that's a whole lot lower than I thought it was supposed to be. So now I'm trying to get the width right because I got cones for that. And I know that that top of that tree there, not that one, but that one is supposed to be the top of my loop. Wow. It's a lot smaller than we thought it was.
Hey, Steve.
Hey,
Hey,
Steven,
Steve's
thanks for
in the
coming
house.
in.
Dave, how the heck are you, man?
Very early. That's great.
Yeah, got earlier today.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, Lordy. I tell you what, it was a lot of fun, though. We had a good time. Well, I think I'm going to have to run for just a minute. I think I hear a battery finishing up, so I'm going to go take one off and put one on. I'll be right back.
All right. Sounds good. So what you been up to, Steve? Anything besides working? I know you work a lot.
Just working this week, nothing yet. Then hopefully the weather's nice, fly this weekend.
I heard one of them finish. Or I thought I did. I didn't?
I didn't hear it.
I thought I heard something beep.
Hey, Steven, did you ever fly an SV-11?
Yes, I did.
Now, how did your SV-11 land on asphalt?
I had no problem. Mine was not a electric. Mine was gas. But I had no problem landing it on asphalt or on grass.
Okay. Maybe mine's different because it's electric.
How far out? Well, like I said, check that note. So how far out is the gear spacing on it? The main gear. How far is the wheel spacing on
I think it's 11 and I think I measured 11 and 3/4 or 11 and 1/4. I don't remember which one, but it's 11 and something.
it? Yeah, I didn't have a problem with it. But mine was nitro, and I had a ST51 in it.
Charles,
Yeah, John.
to get good landings on a tail dragger, you want where the center of gravity is in the center of the wing.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to run a line between 14 to 20 degrees maximum. And that has to hit where the tire meets the pavement. So you've got to have your gear set up so it's within that 14 to 20 degrees. 16 to 18 is what I like to use. But the team racers use 14 degrees. And it'll land high speed on the mains every time for you.
Okay.
But if you're moving your CG around, that moves your percentage around too. So keep that in mind.
How do you do that? What you described, I can find the CG, and then how do you run that line to the bottom of your wheel where it touches the asphalt? How do you do that?
Well, you could make yourself up a wooden triangle with the one at 90 degrees. And I would blunt off. I wouldn't leave the point at the top so you can slide it under the wing. And then you bring the other line down at 14 or 15, 16, whatever you want to use. But don't go beyond 20 because now you got grass gear. All right.
Okay.
And
Another thing to do would be on the plans. You've got your CG marked, or you can put your CG where your airplane is on the plans, and then take your protractor and draw a line 15 degrees forward of that, and that's where your axle goes, or what John's talking about, where the thing, you want the wheel to touch the ground. I just use 15 degrees forward of the CG, and that's where the axle is. And then you'll know where that axle belongs relative to wherever that thing is
right
on your leading edge. And at that point, along the span, and you're going to have good landings forevermore.
Keith's absolutely right. The problem with the SV11R, so you don't have a set of plans.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let,
Well-
let me ask one question. When you go to land your SV, how do you bring it in? Are you trying to hold it dead level till it comes all the way to the ground? Or do you pull the nose up, pull back just a little bit, or I raise up my hand. I didn't realize I did it, but I raised my hand up just 3 or 4 inches just before it touches and let that plane just slightly flare so that it lands with the nose high.
Depends on how you want to. You want to do
you
a
three-
3-point? That's how you do a 3-point.
Yeah, well, that's what I do now. And once it touches, when an SV or a Vector, either one, has such a thick wing that when you flare it like that, it'll sit there and try to fly a foot off the ground because you get into what's called ground effect. I learned about that in sailplanes. And it'll float there for a minute. When it touches down, a lot of times it'll look like it kind of drops the last 2 inches. Okay, you flared it a little bit too much. You just play with it till you get that to where it comes down. It just comes down through that boundary layer smooth. But if you land an SV or a Vector, either one, with it dead level, you're about as sure to bounce. That nose has got to be just a little bit high, and it'll come in there and just grease lightning. I mean, it's just beautiful landing.
Well,
I think I am flying pretty parallel to the deck, so I had the plane level.
But try to flare it just a little bit. You'll be amazed how much better your landings are.
Did you try what Dennis said and readjust the tail wheel?
Yeah, I did, but I'm back on grass. See, my problem is I fly predominantly on grass, and I haven't landed a plane on asphalt in a couple years until I went to this contest last weekend. So it's a combination of just that I'm so used to having grass, and then when I fly on asphalt, I bounce more than I would like.
Yeah,
Well,
you need to land it a little slower. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
If your landing gear geometry is correct or in the right range, you can bring it in. You can actually drive it onto the ground.
Yeah.
It'll hit and it won't bounce.
Stick.
It sticks.
Yeah,
And it'll stick, and you'll go around. I first experienced that with my Electra, the first Electra I built. I bring it down, it'd stick, it'd stay, and then it'd roll 3/4 of a circle on the mains. And then right before it ran out of steam, it just dropped the tail and stopped.
Yeah, my SV11 doesn't do anything close to a stick. Doesn't stick at all. So that's why I'm convinced my landing gear is in the wrong position.
Well, it's probably set up.
Flaring and dancing in the air and hunting as it's coming down.
No, it comes down beautiful. The plane was not hunting. It was coming down nice and slow, nice. But very, very nice. But as soon as it touched the ground, bounce.
It's true.
Let me ask another dumb question. The landing gear is only slightly different forward as opposed to spinning it around backwards.
Right.
One way it looks like it sits back a little further. The other way it looks like it sits a little forward. Which way do you have it?
Well, I have it now for the grass, so it's forward. And at the contest, I switched it around when I first practiced there on Saturday, and it still bounced.
I just put it back in the forward position and try that, and practice flaring just a little bit.
Yes,
Like I say, if you touch down with that thing dead flat, it's going to bounce. You got to learn to just flare it just a little bit. It's like a landing a Cessna, a real airplane. You never land it dead flat. You always land it pull the tail in and lift. Well, at least I learned to come in to land, and you get down where you're going flat down the runway. You pull back on the stick or the yoke. You tell I'm an old fart. I learned on Aluscum and it had a stick. You pull back on the yoke till you hear the stall indicator come on. And then you just hold it right there. And she'll fly till she gets to slow, and it just comes down and the tires chirp and you're down. Same thing with a model. You just get it in ground effect, put just a little bit of up in the nose, and let that thing settle down. But you do this from a foot off the ground, not from I got a buddy that wants to start this at 4 feet high. And then the plane comes down, kabang.
Yes. Yeah, I understand.
And
Can't do that.
What type of wheels are on it? Are they
It's
foam
just-
wheels?
Well,
Yeah, there's
we're having a time convincing him that the ground's not going to bite him, and you need to go ahead and just land the airplane. But he either wants to drive it onto the ground or he wants to stall it up here 3 feet high, and he will get it. I'm sure he'll get it. But man, oh man, he's having a time with it.
Ruben
But anyway,
is the stock
but just
foam wheels.
no, yeah, I've got foam wheels on mine too. But just stall it easy. Just bring it in soft and easy, and it'll come down, and you'll get to where you'll just see it stall, and it just the last 2 inches, it just looks like it's flying along, and all of a sudden it just drops, and then you play with that on subsequent landings. You play with that just a little bit, and you get to where you can just grease it in. My Vector is one of the best landing airplanes I've ever had. It lands so easy, it's almost automatic. I mean,
Well,
I can miss one.
Now, that's what I want is automatic because I can
Well,
land.
You gotta pay for that.
Well, I tell
One
you,
way or another. Lots of
I
practice.
tell you how you get it. I tell you where you get it. Tom Looper, 45 years ago, told me the secret to all of this. It's practice. Perfection is in the bottom of a gallon of fuel. We just
Or
don't
two.
know which one, so we got to keep burning them till we get to the one that's got the perfection in it. Now I switched over to battery charges, but I mean it's the same thing. It's just practice. It's like anything else. I bounced my first 2 landings in a J3 Cub, and I mean one of them I bounced bad, but you know it got to where I could grease it in, and you'd hear the tires spinning. That's how you knew we were on the ground. You hear the tires chirp. So.
But don't get me wrong. In the first round, I got between the 2 judges 39 points and 38 points on my landing.
Well, you ain't hurting too bad.
But the second round, I mean, it's just I just think it shouldn't be so narrow of a window. And then in the second round, I got like 22.
Well,
Charles,
they decided they'd been too easy on you.
Yeah.
No, I deserved 22 or worse. No, it was ugly. It was ugly.
It's just practice, Charles.
It was
Don't worry
ugly.
about it. You'll get it.
No, I don't think it should be that hard. I've had planes that are automatic. When you come down, it's just so easy. You don't even have to think about it. You know, I think the landing gear is
Well,
the
the
wrong.
lighter the airplane you fly, the more problem you're going to have landing it, because the lighter airplanes don't fall like a stone.
Right.
I've got a Cardinal downstairs that does land automatic, and it's not it's a Cardinal. It's a big pattern master, but that thing comes down so easy, it's ridiculous. But when the motor quits, it's coming down, and I mean a half a lap from when the motor quit, it's going to be on the ground. But
Just fly it
I've
in.
also got another airplane down. I can't even think of what it is now. That when the motor quits, you have to push the nose down because it will quit flying in the air and just fall out of the sky. So you have to fly that thing to the ground and then flare it just before it touches, and it'll land perfect. But the idea when we were talking last week about FAI landings, and you have to fly a full lap at 5 feet, not a chance in the world. Half a lap from the motor quit, that puppy's on the ground. No. And it's light. It's real light. It just won't penetrate. When the engine quits, it just doesn't penetrate. But Trayan's airplane, when the motor quits, a lap should be no problem for that airplane. I've never flown anything that you just, when the heck are you coming down? I mean, it just makes you wonder, when are you coming down?
Well, how far are you going? From when it quits, Charles, how far are you going before you're actually setting it down on the ground? You going?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I've
You're coming in too hot too. You may be trying to come in too.
no.
I mean, are you getting a lap out of it before you're setting it down?
Pretty close to, if I remember. But you know what? I want to say hi to Brent Williams because I want to say hi to Steve Hines.
Hey,
How
Brent.
you guys doing? Thank you for coming in. I appreciate that very much.
So what'd we miss?
Everything.
Oh, a lot of good.
Oh, man.
Oh, a lot of good
Just
stuff.
getting ready to sign off.
Yeah, exactly. Hey,
Hey,
Brent,
Brent, I wrote you a really long and tedious note. Did it make sense?
It did. Yeah.
No? Okay.
I passed the information on. I was actually asking for a friend here. And so the 50-pound Max Quattro is definitely the most attractive from the drag standpoint because of the diameter. And then would probably work for just about everything. The 65 definitely gives you the peace of mind, and it still is quite thin, but I bet the 50 would work just fine for everything up to his. I think the two planes he's going to be flying them on, I don't think it'll exceed 55 ounces. So I think like
That'll be fine, yeah.
you said you're flying your Pathfinder on the 50. Is that correct? On the Max Quattro?
I haven't flown it yet on the 50. I was flying it on some 65 before that. But I'm flying the Mobest at 55 ounces, flying that on 50 pound.
Do you sense any line stretch or weirdness, or does it feel pretty normal?
Feels good. I don't like stretchy lines. If they were stretching, they wouldn't be, they'd be gone in the second flight. So
that's awesome. Yeah, that's a pretty good sales pitch for the 50-pound right there. Then,
Brent, his plane also, when everybody else with steel line looks like at the top of the maneuvers, you know how they look like the lines are draping. The plane looks like it's starting to come in a little bit, and the lines are draping. His don't do that. His were straight from the handle to the airplane. It was impressive as heck.
Wow.
That's cool. So has anyone flown any of the Fins 40G on the, like their 50-pound version or 65?
No, I've flown the 65, but I haven't flown the 50.
Their 65-pound is very thin, at least on their chart on their webpage. The Fins 40 65-pound stuff, I think they list it as like 12 thou or something like that. It's incredibly thin what they rated out. I don't know what it is actually if you had it in your hand and compared it next to Max Quattro or something like that, but their sales copy has Fins 40G is very thin. So
yeah, its stuff is very compelling. I have the 45-pound. I put that on the old timers. All right.
Isn't that
and
11?
It's like 9,000 thick.
9,000,
It gives you the sense that you don't even have lines attached to the airplane. All right. It's so thin. There's like no whipping. There's no drag. You're connected, but it's just really, really strange.
What kind of line is this now?
Fins 40G.
The brand is called Fins 40G.
Fins 40. I haven't seen that.
It is the I call it the Spectra equivalent of a single strand line. All right.
Yeah, it's got a bigger central core, and then like an outer braid around it. So it's
Wow.
it's
seen that
newer,
yet.
it's one of the Whiz Kid lines. It's newer, faster, it's bolder, it's stronger. It's
okay.
But
I haven't seen that yet. I may be switching to that.
Yeah, look it up online. It's just FINS 40G. So
Fins 40G. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll look that up.
but yeah, they're quick.
Brett,
It's amazing looking stuff. I've only tried the little stuff. I really like it. But I said I went in with a plan just to use the Max Quattro this year, and that's worked out well. Now I've used up all my 80-pound Max Quattro, and I have to replace it with either more or look at some other, there's some other brands out there that look at it. So
You've been
one thing I like
getting a chance to fly it all, Dennis?
I'm sorry.
You've been getting a chance to fly it all?
Yeah, I was out 4 times this week. I have not taken the Vector out yet. So
No.
How you doing, Steve?
Pretty good.
Getting feeling better?
Yeah.
About time.
Yeah.
About
Still
time.
got,
You need to get feeling better.
like a
Dennis, I
cold.
just wanted to tell you thanks. I gotta run. I gotta get up in 3 hours and drive to Oregon. So
Ooh.
Okay, well, drive carefully. Matter of fact, I'm going to end the live stream. So I want to thank everybody for watching. We'll be back Monday. Hopefully, have a chance to go do some flying this weekend or building and come back and tell us all about it. Until then, fair winds and tight lines. See you then.
Good night.